Hello everyone and welcome to the third video in this React tutorial series. In this video I'm going to be covering the basics of JSX necessary to get you started. So without further ado, let's get in the video. So first, why use JSX? Well, instead of artificially separating technologies by putting markup and logic in two separate files, React separates concerns with coupled units called components that contains both of them. We'll come back to components in the next video. React doesn't require using JSX, but most developers find it useful while working with UI inside JavaScript code. It also allows React to solve more useful errors and warning messages. So with that out of the way, let's get started writing some code. So let's see what embedding expressions in JSX are. So let's go in our app.js file and let's define a variable. Let's say const name equal Michael Kiras, and let's say this is a name. All right, now we can use this variable inside our JSX. So let me show you how we can do that. Open curly braces and we can put the variable name inside those curly braces. And let me start the app. So terminal, new terminal, npm run start. As you'll see, it says hello, and then it uses what I have defined in my variable dynamically in my JSX code just by putting the variable inside curly braces. So as you'll see, it says hello Michael Kiras. So that's what basically embedding expressions are in JSX. And we can also put JavaScript inside that. So not only you can put the variable name and get the result here, well, we can also do some math here. So let's say hello Michael, he is, and then let's say X years old, okay? And let's say, for example, I was born in 2000, okay? And the date today is 2021, so let's do minus that. And you can see I can use math to display a number dynamically here. And I can also use functions. So let me show you how you can do that. Let's create a function that takes one parameter called the user, and we can return that. Okay, that's great. How to define a name? Let's name it format phrase. Okay, let's do that. Format phrase. So this function gets a user, which is an object, and it gets the name, and it displays the name dynamically, and then it also displays the age. And now let's, instead of div, let's use h1, and let me zoom out. And now we can get this function, we can put it inside curly braces. With the function, we open parentheses, and then we put the object inside it. So let's do object and then the name, which is my name, and then we are using the variable right here. And then let's put my age, which can be 18, 19. Now let's format it. And okay, I have made a mistake here. Let me delete that. Now as you'll see, it says hello Michael Kiras, and he is 19 years old. So it's using this function to dynamically generate a title using certain fields. So that's how you can put JavaScript expressions on it. So whether you can use mathematical expressions like 2 and 2, and it will display 4, for example, or you can use functions and display dynamically some JSX, and it displays dynamically some text. Okay, so JSX is an expression as well, and let me show you what I mean by that. So as you can see here, let's say when we are formatting the phrase, let's say we don't provide an object, okay? So if I delete that, you see I get an error because the user is undefined. So user here is not specified. I haven't put anything here. So let's say that happens, okay? Your user doesn't provide some information. So what we can do is, if there is a user, we can return this inside here, okay? So we can return this if there is a user. If there isn't a user, what we can do is return something else. So what we can do is return, actually let's do h5 for example, and then let's do no user. Now as you'll see here, if I zoom in, it says no user. So if I don't provide a user here, it will say no user. Now let's do something else. Let's provide just a string, while it's not expecting a string. So as you'll see, it doesn't work correctly. It says hello, he is years old. So while it displays text we want it to display, which is hello, it doesn't display the user.name because there is no name inside the user. It's just a string. So what we can do is use try catch inside JSX. And how we can do that? We cannot write here try and then catch. That doesn't work. So instead, in JSX, instead of try catch, what you can do is this one here. So you can put 2 vertical bars, and that means if this doesn't work, show this. So instead we will show user. So if I save that, as you'll see, it says hello Michael Kiras. So what it did here is it tried to show user.name, all right? But name is undefined. So if something here is undefined or false or null, it will go to the next one. It will try this one right here. So it says hello Michael Kiras, and then he's years old. We haven't done anything here yet. What else we can do is use if statements inside JSX, and how we can do that. So let's try with age, all right? So let's separate that and create a span inside the h1 element. And now here we will open curly braces. Let's do the whole thing. Actually, we don't have to put span. Okay, let's do curly braces and this one right here. Now, when you put a string inside curly braces, to be able to put JavaScript inside the string, what you can do is use backticks for string, like that. Now, if you put a dollar inside the curly braces, it will act as JavaScript. Now let's put a comma here, and there we go. Now, to use the if-else statements, again, what we can do is we can say if type of user equal to object, then this is what the question mark represents, then show the user.age. Otherwise, we can show another string which can be 20. So what we are checking here is we are trying to see if the user is an object. So if user is an object, which in our case it's not, it's a string, then show the user.age. But in our case it's not an object. So what we are saying here, if it is, do this. Right? Okay, sorry. So if it is, this is what the question mark represents, do this. Otherwise, do this. And this is a condition. So condition, question mark, then else, and then the answer. And that's how you can use if-else statements inside JSX. So now let me show you how we can specify children's in JSX. So we can create a new element, const, let's say children. Actually, we cannot give it a name called children. Let's say element, okay? Let's element equal hello world. This is one example. And now let's put a div and put on children here, and we can put another one like that. So something I want to show you is when you want to put children inside an element, so you can define an element, open curly braces, put it here, and element will be replaced with whatever we have inside of here. So hello world, hello YouTube. Now, something you cannot do is remove the div and put them like that, because this represents two different elements. This is one, this is two. You cannot do that. You have to create two separate elements to do that. So const element, and then const element 2, and then define that here. And then what we can do is use that, and then use element 2. And that's how it works. So you cannot put h1 and then on h1 right below it without something hugging those two together. So we have to put an element to hug both of them, otherwise it doesn't work. So now another thing is that you can use attributes in JSX dynamically. So let's say we have a class name here, okay, and we want to give some class names dynamically. So let's say classes, then we can define a value called classes and give it the classes here. Now as you'll see, class name is immediately replaced with whatever we have given it here. So you can use JavaScript to give dynamic attributes with JSX. So let me give you a better example. So let's say we have an image, all right? So let's do an image. Then we have a source, and let's say we have a dynamic source. So let's create a new variable called image underscore URL equal to a URL, which we will find. Okay, let's use this one right here. And then we can specify the image URL inside the source. And there we go. Let me make it full. So there we go. And that's how you basically use dynamic attributes in JSX. another cool thing you can do is, let's say we want two things to be able to use an image underscore URL. So we can create a new variable, and let me tell you what I mean by that. So let's say if image then equal to true, and what we can do here is if there is an image, then give it the image URL. So if a certain variable is true, then do everything else. So this is what the end equal to. So if image is true, then show the image URL. So if I open the browser next to it, so as you'll see, displays the image. Now if I do false, it will not display the image, and it doesn't give an error. It's just like the source is now null or undefined. And that's another condition you can use in JSX. Now another thing you can do, let me give you an example. Div, and then let's put inside of here the time is open curly braces. Let's delete those right here. And what we can do is put new date, and what that does is give us the date, and then we can format it to give us the local date string. Now as you will see, it will give us the date. Now let's use something like the time, because this is not really useful. And now every time I refresh the page, it gives us the new time dynamically. Now I'm going to show you on the tutorial series how you can make that so you don't have to refresh the page to show the updated time. So that's it for this video. I hope you get an idea of what JSX is and what you can do with it. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future tutorial videos.